Welcome back to the Crypto Corner, everybody. Today's date is April 11th, 2019, and I want to pop in today to give the current state of Bitcoin along with other cryptocurrency market. And let's get into today's episode. If you like these videos, please sit back, relax, and take a listen. And if you guys wouldn't mind, down on the lower right hand side there's a subscribe button. If you can click that subscribe button, and right next to that button there's also a little bell icon. Click that little bell icon, and what that's going to do is that's going to send you a notification as soon as there's a brand new video coming off the presses from here. So if you can do that, it helps support the channel, and I'll give you a second to do that, and we will get into today's video. However, before we get in today's video, I anticipate this video going about 15 to 20 minutes, depending on how long-winded I go. If you guys watched the last episode yesterday, it went way longer than I had anticipated, so I'll try to keep this one shorter. Before I can get into today's video, let's go over our quick disclaimer here. Disclaimer: no part of this content is financial advice. I am not a financial advisor, nor will I ever advise you what to do with your trades. This is for entertainment purposes only. Please take what you hear on this video, as my personal opinion, and use what you hear on this video as well as any outside sources to form your own opinion. This market is very risky, so please trade wisely. So please keep that in mind. I am not a financial advisor. With that out of the way, let's look at the action today. We are currently looking at Bitcoin on the 4-hour time frame on the Coinbase chart. Now, yesterday, if you will recall, we talked about this potential pattern that had been forming since about April 2nd, and it had been forming. Some people thought it was a ascending triangle. I told you that I felt it was going to be an ascending wedge. Okay, and what we saw here is exactly that. So it ended up being an ascending wedge. So what typically happens on an ascending wedge is that you will have a pattern that will constrict tighter and tighter and tighter till it gets to the apex of this wedge, and then typically you will see a break to the low on an ascending wedge. Okay, had this been an ascending triangle, that then another theory that's being floated around amongst other traders is that typically on a structure like this, let me get rid of this thing here, you will see it'll tighten, and typically on a pattern like this, you'll get a break to the upside. So we had these red boxes here that were right here that were potential upside targets. I think we could probably right now get rid of those because obviously we broke to the downside. So we can temporarily not look at those. So to kind of clean up this chart a little bit, however, we will leave this red line here because eventually we will be testing that. So we did break flush through this ascending wedge. Let me get this back to where it actually happened here. So we came up here and it started actually, I believe it was last night. I was actually doing some charting last night, and I noticed we were starting to have some sell orders come in, and I noticed that we broke the lower trend line of this ascending wedge. And I told you, if you were to trade this, a great place to go is if you wanted to place some shorts as soon as we break this structure here. Okay, either side, either if we were traded up or down, this is where you would place some shorts, or this was where you would place some longs. And then what you would do is you would, remember those red boxes that we had here, you would place your sell orders on those boxes, and conversely, if we were to break to the downside, you would enter shorts here. And then these green boxes that I have now laid out are some potential targets. Now, there's a couple of different ways that you could trade this, or trade them both simultaneously. So if you wanted to enter some shorts, you could have entered a short here, and then these could be some potential profit-taking targets. Okay? Or what you could do, or you could enter those, and then also set some longs at these levels. And we'll talk about these levels in just a minute here, but you could actually have your sell order in, your short order in, and then also have some long orders set and ready. So what these green boxes that I've laid out here are potential targets that I believe that we're going to be going to. We are currently now at 49.74, and we are actually dropping as we speak. So it'll be interesting to see while we're online on streaming right now to see how far we get down in to these potential boxes here. So let's dive into these green boxes just a little bit to see where I'm coming up with these numbers or these target areas. Okay, so this first box here, this 40 there, I drew a blue line here. This has been a while back. I drew this line here about the 49.48 number, and that's just a good number. If you scroll back here, I might have to go back to the daily to make it a little bit more simple to read here. So on our way up, when we were going up in August of last year, this blue line comes from here, okay? So you can see it was the top of this peak here. We kind of tested it here before we continued up. So that's where we're getting this $4,900 line, okay? This is, not super significant. It's significant, but it's not super significant. But more than anything, more than those peaks way back in 2017, you can see if we zoom in on the 4-hour chart that we had some pretty decent congestion when we ran up. This candle right here, this is our $1,000 candle that we had, okay? And when we came up, we had some congestion and support. We found support on this blue line, okay? Then we came up and we confirmed it as resistance. We came down, we touched it a couple times as support. So this area here could provide a little bit of support for us. Not a ton, but a little bit, okay? So that would be a good first target, okay? So if you would have placed a short here, target 1 would be maybe good here. Target 2 would be good about here. And the reason why I say this second blue line that I have drawn here, is this is the area that we came up out of that $1,000 candle. We kind of consolidated out for a couple of, maybe a couple of days, maybe a day or so. And we respected this level somewhat, but more than that is that we came down and we tested this level a couple of different times on a couple different candles on a couple different wicks. So this level makes sense here. Now, I'm not sure if any of you guys use the middle high moving average, MMA. It happens to also perfectly line up with the green band on the MMA ribbon. So I don't use that indicator a lot. I've been kind of playing with it a little bit, but it happens to perfectly line up with that green band on the MMA. So second off, our third target is this one right here. This is the $4,600 range, and also it happens to line up with our red band on our MMA. So that would be another potential target to be going long at. So these 3 boxes, if you're not short right now, if you want to think about placing some buy orders, this would be a good one, this one, and this one. These 3 boxes would be pretty decent to place some buy orders or to place some longs. Now let's look at this box right here, the $4,600 box. Let's go back just a little bit on the day and see what that lines up with. This $4,600 range is significant because it's when we were capitulating down in November, this range right here, it was the top of these candles here. Okay, now each one of these candles is 1 day. Okay, so let's zoom in here just a little bit. When this was our initial drop down, we were coming all the way down to the 3K range. So this range here is the top of those candles. So I kind of drew my box in this range here, and that's where I'm getting that level at. Okay, so the 40, 44, 45, 46, maybe even the top of the $4,700 mark would be a good area to maybe place some orders to sell. Okay, so that would be midterm some good areas for it to come down to retrace. Now, what would be maybe ideal and even better in my opinion is if we could come down and retest this white uptrend line here that we've been forming since I think it was February is when we started forming this uptrend line. Let's actually find out. Yeah, February 7th is when we started forming this line here. So if we could come down and retest this line right here, which would be about the 42, it depends on how long it takes us to get down here. If it breaks right now, it would be like the $4,100 mark. If it consolidates out a little bit, it could take, be like the $4,200 mark. If we touch this line here, that would be extremely bullish, and we could ride this up and continue on with our midterm run. Okay. I'm still of the impression I think that we will eventually come down to these ranges here at some point to kind of confirm and do a second touch on our floor. Okay, so as of right now, I mean, if you want to say if this is our bottom, if you want to call this a second touch, okay, I can maybe buy that. I mean, it's a couple $100 off, which I guess in the grand scheme of thing on the macro trend, this would be maybe a second touch. It could be considered a second touch. How many percentage points are we off between there and there? It's 5%. Typically, you want to see like around 3. So, I mean, I guess it could be considered a second touch, but it's close. Okay, so, but I would like to see us come down eventually to these areas to kind of confirm if we could get another reaction off of this $3,400 range. That would be very impressive. Okay, let's pop over to BTC shorts. BTC shorts. And I actually set myself a timer so I could keep myself on track today, and it's acting funky right now. It looks like we're about 12 minutes, so I'm doing okay today. The BTC shorts, remember how yesterday I talked about how when price gets way down in these areas, it's very dangerous because, again, you have to think opposite of what other people are thinking, right? So when we got down to this range, people were overly optimistic of this market, and the market makers and the quote-unquote boys, the people that sets these markets, they feed on that. Okay, they do opposite of what everybody else is doing because that's where they make their money. So one thing you have to look at is when you see this, you have to think opposite because 99% of people will lose money in this market. So think opposite of what everybody else is doing. So when shorts got really, really low, which means everybody was long, they wanted the market to go higher, then of course what happened? We had a drop off, we had a sell off, and we talked about this yesterday, and I believe the day before that. We were kind of warning people of be cautious in this area because yeah, the market looks good, but it's probably going to come back down, and that's exactly what happened. So let's hop back over to BTC. I meant to cover this and I missed it on my notes here. So here's what I'm personally looking at right now and waiting for. I want to see this RSI level come back down. We were grossly in the overbought territory. Okay, we were up in 87, and yesterday we were 82. It was disgusting how high it was. Currently we're at 65. We're just below that 70 mark, which is better than we were yesterday. But I want to still see us come back down closer to this red line here. Now this red line here, I drew it back, and you can see if we, I started all the way back here in December of 2017, but you can see that we kind of respect this red line. We can actually, let me open it up so we can look at it easier. So you can see that we respect it multiple times as resistance, as support, as support, resistance, support. So we very much do respect this area right here, this 46 to 50 mark. Bitcoin likes to be here. Okay, so what I would like to see is us to come back down more to this neutral territory, get back into this normal zone, and then that way we have room to go up or possibly could go down. Okay, but it's still a little high. It's still too dangerous for me right now to hop in. I mean, we're only at 65, 70s overbought, so we're only 5 ticks away from being overbought again, and that's an area that we were at for so long. We were there since April 1st all the way through till today, 11. So we were there for 11 days in the overbought territory. That's just disgusting, and we can't. That's not maintainable. So you can see we had a bearish cross on the stochastics. Our fast line is below our slow line, and we are gaining momentum to the downside. So watch for this stochastic RSI, watch for it to kind of start curling back up, and the fast line get above the slow line and have a bullish cross back into this region. That'd be a good signal that maybe things are starting to maybe turn midterm around to the upside. So we talked about our upside targets, our downside targets. So what I am personally going to be doing is I am going to be watching what happens here in the very near future. I'm going to be watching this level here, maybe more so this $4,700 range and the $4,600 range. So keep a very close eye on that. And if you guys have any questions, any comments, any suggestions, by all means, please leave them in the comments below. Also, leave some comments below what you guys think about this. Do you guys feel that our bear market is done? Do you think that we're going lower? Or do you think that the worst is behind us and we're about to break higher? I'm very curious to kind of get a pull on what everybody's thoughts are. So if you can leave your comments below. Also, I'm going to try to set another goal for this video to get 10 likes. So if you guys can listen to this video, click the like button. My goal is to get 10 on this video. So I'm just starting out this channel, and I want to start my goals low. So I got to start somewhere, right? All right, guys. Well, until then, I will see you in the next video. I will try to post another video tomorrow. And until then, you guys have fun, stay safe, and happy trading, everyone.